Welcome back to another video, boys. Good to have you. Good to have you. So today we're going to be covering all of the S tier builds for the Sorcerer. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to be able to rely on these builds to clear absolutely everything. Tormented bosses, no problem. Hell Titan, Nightmare Dungeons, why even ask? Pit, 100 plus, easy peasy, lemony squeezy. As always, I'll include build videos and also build guides to these, which were provided to me by two of the absolute best Sorc players in the universe, so make sure you check their channels out and drop them a sub. And you know, while you're at it, if you're feeling rather handsome today, why not consider dropping a like and subscribing to my little old channel here? I mean, what's the worst could happen? It's not like it could explode or something. And kicking this list off, we have a build that is absolutely perfect for those of you out there who have always dreamed about being able to conjure inconvenient weather on command. I am, of course, referring to Blizzard. Now, the first thing that you can expect with this build is great AoE. It's obvious to see you just filling the whole map up with ice. It is killing everything, stun locking it, freezing it to death. It is not going to be doing anything except from dying while you're in the area. You're also going to have incredible mobility. I love playing my Sorc just for this fact alone, but because we're using teleport and our cooldowns are so unbelievably low, we're going to be darting around like an absolute crack wizard. Like with most Sorc builds this season as well, this shit is nigh on unkillable as well. This is thanks to just the absolutely absurd amount of barrier generation that you can get on the Sorc, but also because you're able to get a very low cooldown on Flame Shield. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Sorc might be thinking, well, doesn't that require really good gear? Not so much. This build, not as much of a high requirement on that front as the others. We're making up for a lot of the cooldown reduction through the use of an enchant and a particular skill, which is Frost Blades. When this hits enemies, it has a chance to reduce your cooldowns. This is where that's coming from. So we've moved the power away from the gear into the build. Now, this does mean that this build is not the highest performer in damage. It's not, by the way, it's not like a joke either. It's absolutely crushing, but it does mean that it is not quite the highest in terms of DPS, but you can push Pit 100 plus with this absolutely no problem, and it has a much easier barrier to entry. And one of the main reasons why you may want to pick this one over the other builds as well is because it has that hit and run type attack where you can drop the blizzard and then just fuck off to the next pack. If you're not interested in picking up that stuff, for example, you're just trying to get through nightmare dungeons to grind glyph XP, or if you're just trying to blast through low-level pit tiers to get your hands on some juicy Neath iron, this build will allow you just to concentrate on being fast as a mother clucker. And that's Blizzard for you. But if causing less than ideal traffic conditions is not the kind of build that you're after, then I might have something that is. So I need you to ask yourself, do you like the idea of big blue balls? Do you love big ass blue balls, just surrounded by big blue balls? Because if you do, you're gonna love ball lightning. Now, as a staple, obviously, this build is going to have insane mobility because all of these on this list use teleport. This does not change. What is different with this build, though, is that the AoE is much more concentrated around your character, meaning you kind of have a little bit more control over it. And this will be a lot better as well if your intent is to pick gear up off of the enemies that you kill, because they're going to be very close to where you are. I said kill really funny there, but it doesn't matter because it's staying in the video. Another big component of the build that will help a lot with that is that we will be using the raiment of the infinite unique, which is going to suck enemies in, and so that they're going to just die right at your feet, meaning you're not going to have to walk very far to pick up your wares and your goods. It's also just a really satisfying feel to play. Like, I really do like that sort of big pixel pool mechanic. It just looks insane. You have about a gazillion numbers on screen, whether you like it or hate it, but you know, things just get absolutely melted off the planet, off the earth. And you've got loads of crazy shit going on as well, because you've got unstable currents and stuff like that, just shooting out lightning bolts all over the place. It's a feast for the eyes for sure. And it is also, again, a near immortal build as well, or I think in a lot of cases you can get it to immortality, meaning that you're going to have very low cooldowns and very high uptime on Flame Shield. But you are also using frost armor as well, and also, you know, just generally from using defensives, you're going to generate a lot of barrier, keeping you up sort of if your gear isn't quite up to standard. But much like Blizzard, the gear requirements on this one are not going to break the bank. You're not going to have to mortgage the kids for this one. It is using frost blades again, which is going to help a lot. It's actually ice blades. This mistake after mistake in this one, but we're going to roll with it. And that's going to help with the cooldown reduction requirements to keep up that immortality, so to speak. But this build, yeah, definitely going to be a lot more fun if you are actually planning to pick stuff up, because it pulls all the enemies into you when you kill them. It's an absolute spectacle. It's just like full-on RGB diarrhea to the eyeballs, direct, and, you know, for a lot of people, they like burning their retinas out, and this is the build that they're going to enjoy. Now, next coming up on the list, I couldn't think of anything witty to say about frost orbs, except from they're also blue balls and we're throwing them everywhere. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's basically like a spec where you're just throwing water balloons at everybody, and it does a crap ton of damage. What's really cool about this build is just the sheer chaos it causes on screens. You have your frost orbs conjuring conjures that then conjure frozen orbs. So you just end up with this kind of domino effect of frozen orbs just echoing out from where your character is, just destroying everything in a huge area. So great speed farmer. I mean, it's probably one of the better for hell times because you can just wipe the whole map clean without having to really go anywhere. Of course, you have the mobility. You don't even have to ask, right? At this point, you're probably getting a bit tired of hearing me say that it's very mobile, but it is. So I'm going to say it again. You have that near immortality as well, which is going to help. And again, like with a lot of the builds up to this point, we're using the Frostblades enchantment, which helps make sure that our gear requirements are on the lower end because the build itself is, you know, keeping up the cooldown reduction, which is good because it means that it's more accessible to play in the early game. And it's doing particularly well in pits. This one, it done very, very well up in the max roll leaderboard as well when that was going on. I think that's finished for about a week or so now, but it was doing very well back then. So definitely not a slouch when it comes to that. But it's really tight. Like, the great thing about Sorc this season is it has so many S tier builds. It's very, very hard to differentiate them from one another. Like, the winner is a clear winner, but the three leading up to it, the ones that we've talked about so far, are very, very close to one another. So you really want to go with the one that just maybe looks the best for you, or if you're looking to pick things up, then Lightning Ball's a little bit better. If you're not, then the other two a little bit. Just depends on kind of what feels the best for your play style. And now finally, let's crack on to the absolute king of kings, the best build in the game, or very close to, and it's of course Firebolt. Now, the first thing you need to know about this build is that it's the first one on the list that actually has a pretty high gear requirement. So this is more likely something that you will transition to after having played the other three on this list, because you will need very specific amounts of attack speed, good tempers, and good CDR in order to make sure you hit your immortality status. The reason this is important is that you need to keep your flame shield up basically 100% of the time, because if it drops, so do you. Like a lead balloon. You're going to go straight through the fucking floorboards and be deader than dead if you don't keep up your flame shield. So it's something that can be a little bit unforgiving if you try to go into it too early. So make sure you have got all of those boxes ticked before you go ahead and try this one out. But what this build does have is absolutely insane single target DPS. It is by far the king of single target DPS on this list. Now, it's not quite as good with AoE, but it's not bad because we are going to be using Raiment of the Infinite to suck enemies in, and then the Firebolt enchant causes all of the enemies to kind of chain explode once we've killed one of them, which does an excellent job. This is currently my favorite build for doing Helltides. I know it's like using a Ferrari to go to work, but it's, for me, I just love the fact that it's so fast and it is so goddamn powerful that I just run around with pretty shitty gear, to be honest with you, detonating an entire Helltide and farming all of the Angel's Breaths and stuff that I need in literally minutes compared to like an hour with some of the other classes. So absolutely beast moding. And if that's also not quite what you're looking for, if you're going for that top end, if you're a real sweat, if you're going for those leaderboards, then this is definitely the build for you, because this is 150, this is tier 150 verified pre-patch. God knows what it's at right now. So this build is absolutely popping the fuck off. Though one other thing to note with this build, and you know, if you like it like this, I do not judge. This is how I prefer my builds, because in my opinion, One button specs are the meta. That is the aspiration of any build, is to be one button only. This is essentially that. You're just alternating between Flame Shield every like 5 seconds and Firebolt, whereas all the other builds on this list actually require you to kind of play them like a bit of a whack-a-mole. So there's a big difference in that play style between this and the others as well. But it's an insane build. It's absolutely insane. You can't go wrong. I just wouldn't recommend using it as like your first build when you hit level 100, because there's no chance you're going to have all of the right stuff. But there's the list. I really would love to hear what build that you've gone for. Actually, which classes are you most interested in? Because I'd love to know. Perhaps we could do the next video on that class if we've not already done it before. On that note, check out my videos. See if there's one on there that's good for you. I do a lot of guides, mainly a Barb main, but we've been branching out a lot recently. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Much love. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're cool, and I'll see you on the next one. Love ya. Bye.